rattle has sounded. It is time to begin. Listen, in the beginning, before there was a world of work, there was a family. Kanati, first hunter, returned every day from the hunt with Wolf at his heels. He always carried meat over his shoulder. Selu, Corn Mother, washed the meat and set it over the fire to cook. Then she would go to the storehouse to collect corn and beans in a beautiful basket she had woven. Boy watched all that his parents did and listened carefully to the stories they told him. Boy had nothing to do but play. Sometimes, though, he grew lonely. One day, as he built mud houses on the riverbank, he saw a boy beneath the surface of the water. He reached for the boy and touched his hand. "Who are you?" Boy asked. "I'm your wild brother," answered the other. Boy was astonished. "If that is true, can you come play with me?" The strange boy came out of the water and played chunky with Boy until dusk. Then the wild boy from the water went back into the river. From that day on, they played every day. But at night, the river boy always went back to the water. Boy never said anything to his parents about the strange wild boy. One day, Mother Selu saw them playing together. That night, she asked her son, "Who is that boy you are playing with?" "He says that he is my brother," Boy replied. Kanati thought about this news. Then he said, "Tomorrow, ask this boy to wrestle with you. Then hold him tight and call us. We will come and catch him." The next day, when the wild boy came out of the river, Boy obeyed his father Kanati. As soon as he had his brother pinned down, he called out to Selu and Kanati. They rushed from their hiding place and caught the other boy. Coo! We all wished that they had not. For although they captured him, they could not tame him, and so they called him Wild Boy. If there was mischief to be done, Wild Boy would think of it, and he always got his brother in trouble. When he was hungry for sweets, he talked Boy into climbing the bee tree. Then he ate the honey while the boy nursed his stings. Wild Boy got Boy to hold Wolf's pup so he could tie rattles to the animal's tail. When they released him, he overturned all the baskets and spilled the corn flour. "You bad boys," she scolded them. "Go outside and don't come back until dinner time." One day, Wild Boy said, "I wonder where Father Kanati goes to get the animals for our table. Let's follow him and see." They followed Father Kanati to the river and watched him cut reeds. He fitted a flint point to the end of each reed. On the other end, he skillfully attached 2 feathers. "What will he do with those?" asked Boy. "I want to find out," said Wild Boy. The brothers followed Kanati up the mountainside. At last he came to a giant stone in front of a cave. He pushed against it, and the stone rolled away. Suddenly, out jumped a buck, and Kanati shot it with one of his arrows. Then he quickly rolled the stone back into place. "This is amazing," exclaimed Wild Boy. They ran home ahead of Father Kanati and pretended they had seen nothing. After the evening meal of venison and corn cakes, Wild Boy patted his stomach and said, "That was a delicious meal. Where do you go, Father Kanati, to find such meat?" "Ah, my son," said Kanati, "it is the way of the hunter to know the secret of the forelegs and the winged ones. It is not the proper way of young boys to ask. They are to accept what they are given and not to ask so many questions." But Wild Boy could not stop asking questions, and he could not help planning and scheming. Now Wild Boy could not be happy with Boy's games. Finally, he took his brother aside. "Let us go to the great stone as Father Kanati did and see what else is in the cave," he urged his brother. Father Kanati will be angry if we do that, said Boy. But Wild Boy would not be silent until Boy finally agreed to his plan. So the brothers went back to the mountainside to find the cave. The stone was heavier than they imagined, and it took all their strength to roll it aside. No sooner had they moved it than out jumped a buck, a doe, a mountain sheep, a buffalo, followed by all the other forelegs. The boys had to move out of the way to avoid being crushed by the stampede. Birds escaped too. Turkeys, cranes, hawks, eagles, blue jays, crows, and all other winged creatures filled the sky, almost blocking out the light of the sun. When Kanadi saw them, he knew at once what had happened. He hurried to the cave and found his frightened sons. You two bad boys did not heed my words. Now I must go away, and you will have to track the animals and bring them down with bows and arrows. This you have brought on yourselves. And he strode off to the western land of the darkening sun. Now there was no time to play boys' games. The younger brothers had to hunt every day to find enough meat just to stay alive. They soon found out what it was like to feel hunger. The animals were too cunning for them, and most nights they went home empty-handed. As winter came on, they were cold as well as hungry. Selu missed her husband, but she continued to look after the boys. She hung their frozen clothes by the fire and gave them warm skins to wrap around themselves. Each night she would feed them corn and beans with a little jerky left over from Kanadi's hunting. The boys spent many hours staring into the fire, regretting what they had done. The winter was long and hard. One night in the spring, Wild Boy pulled his brother aside and whispered, "Where does Mother Selu get the corn and beans? Let us follow her and see." Boy did not want to listen to Wild Boy. He knew Selu would be angry if they followed her. But once again, Wild Boy talked his brother into going along with his scheme. They followed Selu to a small building of woven reeds and shingles that stood on stilts. They watched as she climbed a wooden ladder and disappeared inside. "Come to the building with me and let me stand on your shoulders so I can see what she does," Wild Boy pleaded. Again, Boy did as Wild Boy asked. Standing on his brother's shoulders, Wild Boy was able to loosen a shingle and look inside. Selu stood before the basket with her arms upraised and a golden light on her face. After a time, she rubbed her stomach in the direction the sun goes round, and ears of corn came flying to shed their kernels in her basket. When it was half full, she rubbed her stomach in the opposite direction, and beans filled the basket to the top. "Oh-ho," thought Wild Boy. "I can easily do that." When Selu bowed her head in gratitude, the boys ran home ahead of her. When she arrived, they acted as if they had seen nothing. That night at the evening meal, Wild Boy asked Mother, "Where did you get the fine vegetables you cooked for our dinner?" Selu looked at him sadly. "That is the secret of the corn, Mother. It is not a thing for boys to know." But next morning, as they left the lodge to hunt, Wild Boy said, "Let us go to the hut and gather food as we have seen Mother Selu do." "Oh no, brother, for I fear what will happen if we disobey again." "But why should we always have to depend on Mother Selu?" "This is not fair," Wild Boy argued. And in the end, he always won. And Boy followed Wild Boy to the storehouse where Selu got the vegetables. The boys had no difficulty in filling a basket as Mother Selu had done. But when they came down the ladder, Selu was waiting for them. "You two bad boys," she cried. "Because you have helped yourselves, our lives must change forever. ever. With a wave of her hand, the building pulled loose from the earth and flew away to the west. The corn and beans in your basket are all that you have left. From this time on, you must dig the earth, plant the seeds you hold, and then tend and harvest the plants when they are ready. Then Selu flew away to join her husband in the western land of the darkening sun. Since that time, people have had to hunt for their meat, plant their vegetables, and work in this world. And all this was caused by those two bad boys.